Welcome back everyone to more of our custom career mode and VR gameplay. And I am extremely excited to get these numbers in for Las Vegas, so let's jump right into it. Now for those of you who saw the race, then you know exactly why I'm so excited to get these numbers in. So we'll start with qualifying. Of course, we start in the 15th position. Now incident count, we did not have any incidents, but I looked through the results and no trucks had any significant contact. So an incident-free race overall. Now we come to the finish. And of course, we got our very first truck victory at Las Vegas. $57,750. A great payday. Now, obviously, not near as good as Daytona, but we're not talking about a crown jewel event at Las Vegas. So $57,750. Combine that with our sponsor money and our cost, yeah, we are doing quite well right now. I've already swapped over to race number 3 so that it would drop that cost and the sponsorship money in there as well, because the next thing I want to do is hop over to the classifieds. We are sitting at $471, almost $472,000. We're looking for $1.9 million. Now, something to keep in mind is you see the cup car there in the image. And I want to point out that as of this recording, the new next-gen cup cars do not have AI support. That is, I'm guessing, very likely to change by the time we earn enough money to move into the the Cup Series. But as of right now, it is still the old last year's version of the cup car. So keep that in mind. But again, I very much expect that to change by the time we get to the Cup Series, whenever that ends up being. So if we come back over to our 2022 sheet, Atlanta is up next. Now, Atlanta is not Vegas. It is very different. I remember my initial VR impressions comparing Vegas to Atlanta and just how different they were. Atlanta felt like the corners, the banking, everything was just so high. I mean, it felt like hundreds of feet high in the corner. It just felt so different in VR compared to Vegas. But remember, we're on the old version of Atlanta, not the new super speedway version of Atlanta, but the old version of Atlanta, which means tire wear and fall off. And of course, most importantly, the ability to run right up by the wall if we so choose and if we dare.
Bud, green flag next time by. Line up on the inside. Pit road is closed.
All right, folks, here we are back at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And once again, keep in mind this is the old Atlanta, not the new super speedway version. Keep reminding you guys of that because particularly for those of you who might just be joining in on the series for today's video, you might be expecting to see the brand new super speedway version of Atlanta. And that is definitely not where we are. This is the old version of Atlanta, which by the way is one of my absolute favorite tracks of all time. The tire fall off, the multiple grooves, all of it. Absolutely love it. Now the AI skill spread for today's race is the same as we used last time. 110 to 125. So the maximum difficulty AI on the top end of the spread. Now why did I do that? Well, we're going to talk about that throughout today's race, but essentially I'm trying to walk a fine line with the difficulty. I want us to have an opportunity for great finishes, podiums, and even some victories, but I don't want it to be too easy. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where we need to be for this. Now also we need to talk a little bit about our new truck. We haven't actually talked about that in the first couple of races of the season. Of course, you guys are seeing the paint scheme on each of the videos in the thumbnail, but we'll talk about that as well. Now I've changed the setup. The setup is going to be looser. It should turn quite a bit better than what we had last time. And that's going to present some challenges for me as we get going because it's going to be extremely loose. If practice is any indication, then I'm going to be on the verge of wrecking for the first few laps here. So I'm not even trying to run this thing wide open. I'm trying not to wreck right now. I'm running about 3/4 throttle. Actually, that was a little bit more than that. Didn't realize it. All right, I'm backing off before we get into the corner.
Clear to the top.
Just trying to be really easy with this thing.
Got one outside.
This isn't about passing trucks right now. This is about survival. I'm hoping that as we get some temperature and some pressure, ooh, that's not what I need. That's not what we need.
Outside. Still there.
3 wide.
Outside.
Yeah, let's just survive for a few laps. Really backing off of this thing.
Stay on the bottom.
Now, whether or not we go back to the top like we did the first time here, I would like to,
Clear outside.
but I'm just not sure how the handling of the truck is going to allow that or not allow it. But we'll just have to see.
Clear to the top. Got one outside.
So once again, no caution clock.
Still there.
My preference would definitely be to do it without the caution clock as long as everything continues to run smoothly with the AI. Then of course that just leaves me to do my job, which is easier said than done.
Stay low. Clear to the top.
Alright, so we're definitely falling back some. Not too bad though.
Stay on the bottom.
I want to get off the bottom,
Clear.
but right now a great opportunity just hasn't presented itself for me to do
Clear
that.
outside. Outside. Keep low. Still there.
So if you remember the first time around, we didn't spend a whole lot of time running around the bottom. We spent most of our time up around that third groove, not the wall, but around that third
To the
groove.
bottom. Clear to the top.
So again, I am tiptoeing around this track. These guys are giving me room here. Well, they have been anyway. So I'm trying to play nice right now. Because if you remember, our first trip here, we had great speed at the beginning of a run. We had great speed in the middle of a run. However, the end of the run was, it was awful for us. We fell way back through the field. We lost a lot of positions just because the AI's tire wear was very different from ours. And we talked about why that was and some of the different reasons for that.
Stay right there.
So it wasn't totally unexpected, but we're going to see how we do today. So I loosened the truck up, and I did that in the front end. We put some more grill tape on there because, as we know, the default setting that we get from iRacing, since I'm trying to use the iRacing setups by and large, we know that they're not very aggressive on the grill tape. So I increased it more, still not enough that it should become an issue, but it is certainly more there. That's going to help the front end stick better. I also adjusted the front bar, specifically the linkage, so that the truck should rotate better on corner entry. That should also help us out on a long run. So those things should really do a number for us. I did not touch anything in the rear, specifically the track bar.
Clear inside.
And I'm just going to try to work this thing through traffic here. And we're just going to see how it turns out in the first run. Still 70 laps, so we're still going to get to plenty of opportunity to have our fun. But we'll just have to see about the third groove.
Here's the top 10.
Right now, I'm just trying to survive with this thing and see what I can do, what I can't do. I can tell you the rear end is very skittish on this thing. It's something about this track with no grip. It just, anything I do with the rear end of this thing, without getting too detailed with setup changes, trying to keep it very basic on the changes, but this thing gets very skittish in the back end. A lot of bumps, no grip, my kind of racetrack. Absolutely love it. So right now, not using any brake unless I need to for traffic reasons, but for handling reasons, I'm simply lifting to about 3/4 throttle or so on entry to the corner, sometimes not even that much.
Stay right there.
Depending on the traffic, and then I'm right back to the gas, full throttle. All right, so now we're starting to come back through the field a little bit. This is kind of what I expected. Take the first several laps. Let's just get accustomed to the truck. Then we'll start working our way back.
Inside, still there. Clear.
But generally, we lose a few spots at the beginning after a start or a restart. And then we're able to work our way back through the field after that. So starting 15th instead of last definitely helps us out in moving through the field. I mean, we are up to, where are we?
You're in second. Good job.
Wait, we're in second? We've passed that many trucks? Folks, I was just cruising. I literally was paying no attention to what position we were in. I was just cruising, trying to hit my marks. But Zane Smith, the only truck we see in front of us, is the leader. Wow. Okay, now I'm really glad I didn't reduce the AI skill spread. Now the question is, do we have enough speed to catch this guy? And what happens when it's time for pit stops? I plan on using the same pit strategy as before. We're going to split this thing in half, and I'm going to try to pit around lap 35. That's the plan. All right, are we getting closer to him? We're about 1.5, 1.6 seconds behind him. Did you guys happen to notice that we were moving through the field and passing that many trucks? Honestly, all I thought we were doing is making up spots we lost on the original start. Because it felt like we lost 4 or 5 or so. But apparently we passed a lot more trucks than I was paying attention to. So now we get into the tire wear scenario. We know that we're fast. Right now we're catching him. We're about 1.2 behind right now. So is this going to be a lot like Vegas, where at Vegas we were able to get to the lead and actually pull ahead of those guys, but deep into a run they came back to us in a big way. And then pit stops turned out to be a lot of fun. That entire cycle of pit stops was huge. The ending of that race was a lot of fun for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well, because I really thought we were going to get caught and lose the lead the way it was all working out. But at the end of the day, second place just could not get to us. The speeds ended up stabilizing, and we were able to bring home that first truck victory. And here, we are certainly gaining on Zane Smith. I'm trying to get down here and use this bottom a little bit because, well, I haven't used it very much up until today. I'm itching to get up top, but at the same time, I'm trying. I mean, we have obviously an opportunity for a great finish here, so I'm trying to be very smart with the tires right now. All right, no crew chief as well today. Not sure if I mentioned that at the beginning. I meant to, but the crew chief program is not on. And I decided I wanted to test it out and just see without it what happens. It's not gone forever, but I just want to see how I like things without it, because, well, the best way to figure out how you feel about it is to see how you behave without it. And so that's what we're going to do today. One thing that will change is on the pit stops how much fuel they put on board for us. There's an option in the program, the crew chief program that is, that you can actually have it interact with the game and choose the amount of fuel that you put on board, and it calculates that for you, how much you're going to need to the end of the race. So we're not going to have that, so that should increase the length of our pit stops, which I'm hoping will explain some of the difference in the pit stop times that we've been getting. We've been a lot faster than the AI overall. If that turns out to be the difference, then I will simply turn off that option in Crew Chief. We don't have to leave that on. And we'll just let it fill us up every time. I'm perfectly fine with that because ultimately I would rather be too slow versus the AI on pit stops than too fast. I don't want to go making up a bunch of time on pit lane just by virtue of that. So those are some of my thoughts. And again, I always want to err on the side of making it too difficult. I'd rather finish 7th than have a runaway victory any day of the week. But right now, we're going to have to earn this because we have been able to catch Zane Smith. We're about a half second behind him. But now that I've gotten to him, I really can't do a whole lot with him. You know, we're slowly reeling him in, but we're also getting closer and closer to our time to pit. So again, if you're missing some of those messages that we're used to hearing, those will be from the crew chief. Some of our passive-aggressive crew chief messages. But I can definitely tell a huge difference in the handling. Still going tight right here toward the end of the run, the second half of a run. It's definitely building tight. However, we're definitely maintaining more speed. Oh yeah, that's a lot of tight right there. And I mean a lot of tight. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get by him. Especially as we get closer and closer to sort of that break-even point. The point where we stop being faster than the AI that are around us and they start being faster than us because of the grip fall off due to tire wear. Yeah, we've sort of stalled out about a half second here and I can't really do anything with him. I hesitate to go to the extreme high side again. We might go there at the end of the race, but right now I see no reason to do that. It might get us into clean air, but at the same time, I feel like we're getting close to that point where we're going to start to lose speed compared to the AI, and I feel like that's only going to make it worse at this point. Yep, there we go. There's the back end wanting to come around. Again, still very skittish on the back end. If I were going to do anything for this truck, if I were going to create my own setup, then probably what I would do here is try to add some more rotation in the front of the truck, but secure the back end of the truck better. Because, like I said, the back end of this truck is still very skittish this deep into a run, even though the front end has lost a lot of grip. You can see we're starting to fade from Zane Smith now. And part of that is just me trying to experiment with some different lanes. Part of it is the back end on corner exit. I mean, it's not a good combination when you're going into the corner and the truck is tight. The truck is pushing up the track. And then at the same time, you get back to the throttle and the back end wants to step out on you. So it's just nothing good about that. You go from push to push loose. No redeeming qualities there. And for me, that's ultimately about being too tight in the front end. So you fix the tight in the front end, then you can address the rear end of the truck. Alright, so we kind of stabilized here a little bit. We fell off the lead some, but now I feel like we have stabilized that a little bit. I've adjusted a little bit of my driving style based on how the truck is handling. We are at lap 28. I'm just going to be my own crew chief here. So lap 28. So we're getting closer and closer to those pit stops, at least for us. I would expect that the majority, probably the vast majority of the AI are going to go all the way until they run out of fuel. Since their fall off just isn't as severe as mine normally is, they're just going to probably go until they run very close to being out of fuel. That's going to mean that we are going to have several laps where we're going to be just flying compared to the AI, just like we saw at Vegas. But here, is it going to be enough? Are we going to be able to maintain here? What's our pit stop going to be like, since our fuel strategy is going to be a little different this time around, based on how much fuel we put in? All right, there we go. Now he's starting to pull away. He's put a couple more tenths on us. I haven't really been paying attention to anything behind us because nobody's really been within view for the most part, so I don't know if they're gaining on us. Haven't seen any messages for anybody pitting yet. I'll be watching for that around the time we pit, just to see, out of curiosity, to see if anybody from the AI really wants to jump on that strategy. I doubt it, based on what we saw at Vegas, but it just keeps things interesting anytime the AI mix things up. That's what I like to see. I like to see them use different strategies, as long as the strategies make sense. Not like we saw at Indianapolis. That didn't make any sense. Yeah, having to really work the throttle on the exit of turn 2. It's not terrible, but it's just enough to where I really can't do. Okay, finally we get that right front tire wearing out message. Okay, at lap 32, so not too bad. It's very close to the time we planned on coming into pit anyway. Now, what I may do, if we're able to hang in here like this, I may run a few extra laps. I'm in no hurry to come to the pits from that perspective. I do feel like running somewhere around 2 equal length stages for us is the best way, but if we're able to hang in here fairly close with the leader, I'm in no hurry to pit. So I may run it a few extra, but based on my issues coming off, particularly the exit of 2, I would imagine, yeah, I'm really tight there. All right, so that's probably going to put an end to any thought I might have had about staying out longer than halfway. We'll probably come in the next few laps here. Make sure we get to halfway. And hopefully, so that brings us to the next issue. What am I going to do here? Crew chief is what was counting me down. I am going to have to find the lollipop and the guy holding the lollipop, and that's not going to be an easy task. So we're going to have to see how this works. This is going to make it very difficult, but this is what I wanted to learn by not using the crew chief program. We might actually miss our pit stop. We might have to drive through. That certainly isn't going to help anything for our race finish. But I have no idea where we're pitting. It should be around the middle of pit lane, but of course that's easy to say unless you're driving the truck and you actually have to find it. All right, so we're at halfway now. Not going to do me any good to flash a message up there for the AI. That's not going to help them. At least that would be really cool if it did. All right, let's go ahead and slow this thing down. I don't know how much grip we're going to have here. All right, we need to get down to 50. All right, again, I'm going to go slower because I really don't want. Oh, never mind. He's trying to help us.
5, 3, 2, 1.
All right, I did see him this time. All right, there we go. Straighten up the wheel. So now I'm sure you noticed.
That's it. go.
There we go. I'm sure you noticed that I never went to any screens to make any adjustments, any changes, so I don't know how much fuel it put on board. I'm assuming it just filled it up. That's my assumption, but we're about to find out. So once again, I am not going to really press my luck on the exit here, just like I did on the entrance. I'm trying to keep things
Got one outside. Here's the stop.
pretty easy here because I am not trying to beat the AI on the pit cycle. I want to do it on the track.
Outside.
All right, now I'm going to have to go back to being very easy on this thing. Trying to be very easy, and that would be nice if the 52 would give me some room here and let me go, but he's not going to do that. Now, guys, I would prefer the high side. That would be absolutely amazing if you guys would give me the high side.
Got one inside.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much. You guys just run right there where you want to run, and I will try to work around you.
Clear to the bottom.
Preferably without having to turn the steering wheel, because this thing really would prefer to spin out. I mean, I'm sure you can hear it. I'm being very, very gentle with this throttle pedal. I don't want the loud pedal to be loud right now. We just want to be nice and smooth.
Inside. Clear to the bottom.
So I must say our pit stop was about as smooth as it can be. What really helped me there, number one, I got the countdown. I wasn't expecting the countdown. I thought that came from the crew chief program.
Clear.
But what really helped me is we were alone on pit road. I was able to find our lollipop. I was able to find our lollipop guy. He's really the one that helps me out. If I can find him, because based on my graphics preferences, he's the only one I see. I don't see any other guys on pit road holding the signs out there. So if I can find him, which is much easier to do when we're the only ones on pit road. All right, so while we have some time, because remember, most of these guys are probably not going to pit for several laps. I would say some of them 6 to 8 laps from now, maybe even a little bit longer than that. All right, Majeski, you're gonna let me go to the bottom here.
Outside.
Let's talk a little bit about
Clear outside.
the truck. Again, you guys have been seeing it now for a couple of races. Here in the new season, I changed up the paint scheme. And this particular paint scheme, it's a University of Tennessee paint scheme. That's not where I went to college, but it is where I live. I live in Tennessee, so I thought that was a very fitting paint scheme for me. Also, it brings back memories for me of the very last Busch, now Xfinity race held at the Nashville short track, the fairgrounds. Sterling Marlin ran a paint scheme kind of like this at that very race. So it brought back some memories for me of watching that race in person.
Got one inside. Clear to the bottom.
So several reasons why I decided to go with this paint scheme, but overall, I enjoy it. Very well done. Can't say enough about the job that the guys at Trading Paints do. All of the wonderful content creators there, so talented. I wish I had a tenth of the talent they have to do all of that. They're amazing at what they do. Really appreciate them for their hard work and also for sharing it with the rest of us, like me, who don't necessarily have the time or the talent to do this kind of work. So let's see where we are right now. We are dead last. Okay, so that means nobody's dropped out of the race. So no contact. Remember, we did have some contact ultimately at this track first time around. So it looks like it's been a clean race so far. We certainly haven't seen any cautions. So at this point, I have to expect that we're going to get the completed green flag cycle. So right now we know we're getting the benefit of these new tires, so we're just blowing by guys at this point. Not only are we passing guys who are not at the front of the field, generally, but we're passing them pretty easy to give you an idea of how much tires are worth. Now here is second place. This will give you a really good idea of how much new tires are worth. This is the guy that was behind us before we pitted and was actually starting to close in on us. But with the new tires, we're easily back by him. Now you notice on the standings, we're seeing the lead lap cars are in red. That's why they're in red, is because it's giving us the information that we are not on the same lap as these trucks. So the leader, Zane Smith, who you can see up in front of us, we are currently a lap down. So we're trying to unlap ourselves right now, which would be very important just in case the caution were to wave. We want to at least be the lucky dog, which would mean that we need to get by whoever this is. Is that Haley Deegan right up in front of us? I believe so. I'm still very much trying not to wreck this truck right now. I could be certainly more aggressive than I could when we initially came out of the pits. But by no means can I just drive this thing very hard. I am still tiptoeing. All right, so Zane Smith is pitting now. This is about perfect based on what I thought. And we're going to start to see over the next probably 3 to 4 laps, everybody come in. So now he's coming in. We're going to see where he comes back out. On new tires, he should be nice and fast. So we're going to see how all this works itself out. Since the leader is coming in, he's the only one I've seen to this point. But he's the one we need to see, because he's the one we're fighting for a victory right now. Meanwhile, I'm just out here running laps, trying to get the most out of it that I can without abusing the car, abusing the tires.
20 to go straight.
All right, 20 laps to go.
Leader's pitting now.
All right, heard leader's pitting now. That's probably meaning Chandler Smith. All right, so we'll give this a little bit of time.
Got one outside.
But one thing's for sure, I am not seeing Zane Smith on the track right now, meaning that I'm not seeing him if he came out ahead of us through this entire cycle. I'm not seeing it.
Outside. Clear outside. Got one outside.
All right, these guys are giving me plenty of room. You can hear me just pedaling this thing. All right, Jordan Anderson coming into the pits. He's right in front of us, so I'm definitely going to move up a lane, give him plenty of room. This will give us a good chance to see how these guys come on pit road. Nice and smooth. I like it. I like it. That was so much better. Oh yeah, it's feeding time on pit road now. You see several trucks on pit lane. And I see nobody in front of us. Like, nobody.
Leader's pitting now.
And if this works out like Vegas, then all this time we've had on our new tires is time that we are ahead of these guys through the pit cycle. The question is, will that hold up?
Back in third. Keep hustling. Good job.
Will this hold up to the end of the race? At Vegas, it just barely did by about, what was it, about a second and a half, something like that. Maybe even a bit more than that by the end.
Got one inside. Third to the bottom.
But I was sweating it at Vegas because I really thought our luck was going to run out.
Inside. Stay high. Stay right there.
Oh,
That
easy
car
there.
is not a lead lap
Easy
car.
there, Kraus.
You are the leader. Clear.
I'm trying to give you room. You just go on, do your thing. Oh, there's our good buddy. Where's he running? Okay, he's inside the top 10. He's having a good day. We certainly haven't forgotten what he did. Definitely haven't forgotten that. Not when as blatant as that was.
That car is not a lead lap car.
All right, do we see... Yes, Zane Smith is 3.2 seconds behind us. So that's how much time we made up. We made, because he was what, about a second and a half ahead of us. So we've made up 4 to 5 seconds so far through that cycle of pit stops.
Keep it up, keep digging.
Now, can we keep it? I still feel like our best shot is if I stay down in the bottom and middle of the track. Going up high, I just don't feel like has any advantage for us on the speed or tire wear for sure.
Outside. Keep low.
I'm trying to keep low. Trying to see who it is
Still there.
coming by us. I didn't catch a glimpse.
Keep low. Good stop.
Alright, that's kind of who I thought that was when I caught a glimpse of the truck. Love that paint scheme. So it puts us, this strategy puts us in a very difficult position with the AI because we're being hunted. We had our time on the newer tires where we were blowing by the AI and making up lots of time, but now as it gets down to the end of the race, we're being hunted. They're faster than us, so it doesn't give me a lot of options. We're only 1.2 seconds ahead of Zane Smith right now. So it's not like I can just go and speed up a bunch. You can see these guys are just streaming past us now.
Stay high. Clear.
Well, they do really make me nervous. The way they behave on the front stretch in particular.
Inside.
They just do not give any room, and they're very erratic in how they move around.
Stay high.
All right, I gotta think that, yeah, there's Zane right there behind us. I can see him in our mirror. He's here. What is he behind now? Yeah, he's about a half second.
Lap down. 10 laps to go.
Yeah, 10 laps to go. What have we got here? Do we have enough to hold off Zane? 10 laps is a long time to hold somebody off who's on better tires than you. We're not just going to give it to him. I'm not just going to move over and let him have it. But at the same time, I kind of want to move up at least a half groove, if not a full groove, to try to make him go under us. And I'm going to try to hold him down if I can. But every lap that passes is just helping us out. Yeah, there's that push loose that's working its way into the truck now. We've reached that point in the tire run for us. He's trying to get under us. And in fact, I would say he's got to be
Got one
there.
inside.
Yeah, there he is. He's there.
Keep high.
So now we're just going to try to hold him down as best I
Stay
can.
right there. There's the bottom.
Just try to make it hard on him to stay in the gas. That's all we can do at this point. Because I'm certainly not going to use any erratic maneuvers to try to keep him back there. We're going to try to race him
Got one
clean.
inside.
We're just going to make him earn it.
Still there.
All right, he's there. All right, this is where it's going to really hurt him right there. On the entry of one and then really getting down into the center of the corner. With me holding him down like that. If he can make that work, and he did, then it's going to be hard to deal with this man. He's just got too much grip for me. Oh, can I stay right there on his right rear?
Got one inside. Stay high.
Oh, I'm hanging with him, at least for now.
Next car is the leader. Still there. Keep high.
Again, I'm trying to stay right on that right rear and make it very difficult on him on exit. Oh, this is close.
Still there.
Yeah, he's having to work a lot harder than he wants to right now in that truck.
Stay high.
Oh, easy now. Easy, Zane. Easy. Oh, yeah, we are so close. This is where VR really comes in to its own. Oh, we almost wrecked it right there. The back end came around on me, and I had to spend a little time trying to catch it right there. All right, we are not giving up. We are still right on him. So I'm going to try to get back to him and see if I can't do something with him. Back end's coming around. Right there, the exit of 2 is what's got me. It's just a little bit too free when I get back to the gas for me to really be able to do anything with him. I can't be as aggressive as I need to be. And keep in mind, I made no changes to the rear of this truck. It was all to try to help the front end rotate better, and it's definitely worked. That's for sure. Oh, there we go. Bumps didn't help anything right there, but all right, well, I gave it my best shot, and I'm certainly not giving up. But I just don't think we're going to be able to quite hang with him here at the end. 3 and 4, I'm much better off. I can get back to the gas in the center of 3 and 4 and stay in it, but not 1 and 2. I can't make it happen. Let's see there. Backed up the corner a little bit. Yep, still just too free.
White flag next time I have to try.
Oh, so close. But this, from a difficulty perspective, this was good. If we want a chance to win races, well, we got it. We can see the leader right there. We got right to him on the first stint of the race, and we're here now. You know, we're what, a second or so? Yeah, he's 1.2 seconds in front of us, so this is perfect. So it's going to give me a lot to think about going forward, whether or not I want to continue using this maximum difficulty on the top end of the spread.
That's the checkered flag.
All right, let's go up here and congratulate him. Good job, Zane. Give him a nice wave. Appreciate him racing me clean. That was fun. For a couple of laps there, we were able to hang with him, and I really thought we might be able to hold him off by simply running that second groove and making it extremely difficult for him to get into the corner, particularly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get past him so we can get on the pit road. Let him go out there and celebrate with the fans. We're going to give the fans a good wave as we head down onto pit road. Really appreciate everybody coming out today. Hope you guys enjoyed the race. Stick around, because there's a lot more where that came from.